The power of family is what is in the foundation of this network that was able to survive for 300 years and plus. So for that reason, we have a special speaker, Stefan Lucas, who is joining, who is coming with his foundation as an innovation person, entrepreneur, FinTech Armenia, as you can see in his title. And the power of his speech is his family. Stefan, I was fascinated the first time we met. And then when we talked about this project, and he said, oh, my family is from Julfa. And I said,
Yeah.
we need to know more about it. And I keep saying that we have so many Julfan families still in existence, still doing business. And what we wanted to do is to showcase one of them on our inaugural event. Stefan, take over.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Emma. Hi, everyone. Just to check, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which time zone you're all in. Hope everyone is well. Thank you, Emma and team, for putting this great, interesting event together. I'm looking forward to the conversations, the insights, and to learning. I think there's a really interesting set of speakers, lawyers, historians, etc. So great event. Thanks, Emma. Per Emma's points, my role is to serve as some sort of case study. Unfortunately, I don't have the full historic facts of the last 300-400 years, but I do have some insights and stories to share, hopefully. And so without dwelling on historical facts, I'll just share about what I know and what we've seen. Starting off with, it's a journey into the rich and resilient history of the ancient Christian Armenian community that we're sort of uncovering here with this great platform and rebuilding. Started, in the beautiful city of Isfahan in New Julfa. If you haven't been, right now is a difficult time to go to Iran because of what happened in the last 7 days, but I would encourage you all at some point when things settle to visit. It's really beautiful in central Iran. It was once one of the largest and most important cities in Central Asia. And actually, my ancestors from both sides come from Julfa Isfahan and also from Goris unique area, right? So the south of Armenia, beautiful place, which you probably all know and have been to. And there's a link and a connection to Julfa, which I will uncover today. So the story of Armenians in Isfahan is not just a local tale, right? It's a powerful chapter in the broader narrative of cultural exchange, survival, which as Armenians, unfortunately, we've had to build and rebuild as generations, is to survive and grow, and artistic brilliance. So it begins in the early 17th century. I think Mr. Israelian mentions 1604, during the reign of Shah Abbas I of the Safavid dynasty. So faced with the constant threat of Ottoman invasions in northwest of Iran, Shah Abbas implemented a strategy known as scorched earth. If you don't know about it, feel free to Google. It's quite interesting. Scorched earth, where they displaced populations, thereby weakening some of the enemy lines, i.e. Turkish and Azeri enemy lines, including crops and infrastructure. And as part of this plan in 1604, over 150,000 Christian, I believe, maybe a historian will correct me and say it's 300,000, our Christian Armenians were forcibly moved from the town of Julfa in the Nakhichevan region, Western ancient Armenia is what I call it, to relocate in the heart of Iran, right? So Julfa, Isfahan. And from what I've heard and from what I've read in books is that the Shah Abbas did not treat us merely as subjects of war. Instead, he treated us quite well. He recognized our skills as talented and somewhat experienced merchants, artisans, and traders. He offered our ancestors, from what I heard, a new home in the city of Isfahan, a Christian district he named New Julfa, providing us with living and business enablement capabilities in the hope that we would settle comfortably in New Julfa, Isfahan. And in turn, of course, he did this for a reason, to benefit Iran's key silk trade and connectivity routes that he was actively, strategically rebuilding, Shah Abbas at the time. And so due to our expertise in manufacturing, business, trade, and somewhat technology back then, and importantly, thanks to our commercial mindset, our hard-working spirits and talented capabilities, the Armenian populations that were moved to Isfahan, Julfa, were able to really build some quite impressive businesses over time. And really my understanding is that the ancient Christian Armenian populations that moved there effectively enabled Shah Abbas of Iran back in the day to reroute the Silk Trade Road through Isfahan, through central Iran, thereby making Iran more important as a trade hub. So really, interestingly, what followed was an extraordinary blossoming of Armenian culture and economic power following this movement to Julfa Isfahan in the 17th, 18th century. The Armenians of New Julfa became central to the Safavid Empire's international trade, connecting Persia to Europe, India, China, Russia. And we built churches, we built schools. I know my grandfather, great-grandfather also were part of that, and schools and all sorts of orphanages, hotels, libraries, commodity trade routes, establishing diplomatic ties that rivaled those of any major power. So we were good at that. Some of these things we're doing now as well. So some of us can recognize some of these strengths. We were good at this back in the day as well, which were very important, of course, for survival, for growth, for business, and to protect and build families, right? So Isfahan, as Mr. Israelian mentioned earlier, was also home to the East India Company's, one of their biggest trade warehouses. And from what I heard from the family and what I heard from reading books and documentaries, the main products traded were silk, textiles, dried fruit, tobacco, leather, camel, sheep, wool, art, Chinese items and dishes, firearms for defense, metals and iron, that's also copper, gold, and silver, artifacts, rugs, window glass, precious stones, and more. So there were all sorts of products being traded by the Armenians and other nationalities through Isfahan. And, it's really interesting because the Shah further expanded trade relations regionally and internationally through this trade route and hub that we helped him build. He did great things, actually. He developed local souks, he redeveloped them, he rebuilt the markets for the local people to trade, he rebuilt shops, he built roads, he built bridges, and importantly, and as you saw in the news, but about the Straits of Hormuz, but the ports of Hormuz and Juran, where at the time 300 plus ships were docked. They were trading agricultural commodities, metal commodities, and energy commodities worldwide through the ports of Hormuz and Juran. Just before I wrap up, so my family actually were lucky that they managed to enter the commodity trade industry a long time ago. And they actually ended up expanding their business, quote unquote, empire into exotic places. So we're actually from Indonesia, from Singapore. The gentleman mentioned Raffles Hotel. From my grandmother's side, we're also the Sarkis family. So there's a family link there to the builders of the Raffles Hotel. And later as well in India and Asia, where we entered energy trade and coal mining type businesses. And to this day, actually, we continue in the commodity trade industry as a family, but more in UK and Europe on agriculture and food products. So it's interesting that it sort of stayed in the genes and in the blood, and we're just natural traders. I trade capital markets. I trade different types of. The world has changed, right? But so on that point, so from my side, as Emma mentioned, I ventured and expanded sort of the reach into the next direction and next evolution of what what we've been through as a family and where the world is going. So the last 2 decades, I've been focusing my time and career on sort of the next shift, right? So as you mentioned, Emma, so the global interconnected trade and business enabled by from what we're building, FinTech Armenia, FinTech industry, using tools like blockchain and AI, and that's across the whole financial services industry. But really, where that is going is it will transform trade. Trade is slowly becoming more digitized. My last corporate role at CME Group, the world's biggest trading venue and America's commodity market place, right? The AMX, so to speak, of America, but more on commodities and financials. During my time there, the last five to 7 years, they digitized 100% of commodity trade. So that's really interesting because historically, commodities in this type of business was traded through trading pits. But really, the three reasons I'm doing this is, one, to prepare and help enable Armenia's rising tech industry; two, to strengthen Armenia's position as a rising commodity and business trade hub, and importantly, to enable market participants worldwide to trade globally, electronically, better, faster, and to reposition some of that, more of that, through Armenia and Armenian hands and businesses like we used to. And so hence the synergy, with a lot of synergy with FinTech Armenia Association members and partners, but hence the synergy with Digital Julfa on many sides and angles. So just wrapping up, despite some difficult times, it's really incredible, actually, if you think about it, that for over 400 years, Armenians in New Julfa, Isfahan, have managed to preserve their language, their faith, their customs, their faith, and even as they contributed immeasurably to the thriving local culture and business climate, we played key roles in developing art, printing, music, commerce, trade, and over time, banking as well. But despite, if you think about it, these political shifts, revolutions, wars, global upheavals, New Julfa remains a living testament, in my humble opinion, of the coexistence and cultural endurance, where you have a thriving Muslim and Christian community that's able to live together, work together, and achieve great things over time, and to continue doing that. So I think that's a bit of a role model. If you look at, unfortunately, the geopolitical ambitions that governments are going through right now, commodity trade leadership goals, they're trying to push their own agendas and P&Ls as countries, and religious differences. So I just think it's a bit of a case study, and just wanted to say that actually, if you're in Julfa, or if you have Google in front of you later, have a look at the Vank Cathedral, V-A-N-K Cathedral, completed in the mid-17th century. It's actually a beautiful blend of Islamic and Christian architecture. And it's incredible to think that, wow, I had family who was going there in the 1700s. And it's really beautiful. And actually, during my trip there, I visited many beautiful Christian Armenian churches. Currently, there are 17 left in Julfa, Isfahan. There were 24 churches. So that's also quite incredible to think that, our culture and legacy has remained. And so that's a wrap really for me today. Just wanted to share these few points. Hope it was interesting, and feel free to connect.
Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you.
And congratulations to your family, continuing that trade and being in the same industry that they were for 350 years ago. And we're going to try to find more of these families. That's one of the purposes of this initiative, to bring back not just the history, but to identify that history present families that are operating still. We found some, but we wanted to have this family to represent you, and technology plus your family history. It just all comes together. Thank you so much. More to come. You're one of our collaborating partners, so more work to be done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers to that.